A very good evening to everybody there under the sound of my voice, and welcome to the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. The frequencies are fixed, locked, and loaded. Channel 254 DSTV, Channel 748 Free TV, and Channel 17 Go TV. It is great to be here as we wait patiently for the weekend, which kicks off tomorrow. Hope you guys are planning to, celebrate the weekend responsibly. I know you are. I believe you are. I hope you are. All the same, welcome guys to the show. And my name is CCM Echebe. I'm also known as CC the Rabbi. And I have two guests that are here with me today to talk about the banter, what's going down right now. We're going to banter. And those of you who have been regulars on the banter box, that banter lives here. So it's no holds barred. There'll be a lot of blood and gore, figuratively, not literally, and a lot of, confrontation. And that's the essence of the show in the first place. So I have two guests that are here. First of all, I have the regular. He's the one that I like to yab occasionally. He's a man that is, okay, now I'll say, he's somebody that somebody once called a failed footballer, but, let's just put that aside. Yeah, I said that. I wasn't the one who said that, but the person said he's a failed footballer. But he's a self-acclaimed priest of football. I'm talking about none other than my trusty Lieutenant, Emeka Madoka Femelo. Emeka, good to have you here.
I can't even say it's good to be here, but okay, it's good to be here. Let's start with that.
Okay, and to lock horns with Emeka today on the two different topics we have is somebody that he dreads when it comes to locking horns. We have an August visitor here today on the Afia Sports Banter Box, and I'm pleased to announce that somebody who is a man of timber and caliber, the man who, of course, has sporting facts at his fingertips. And believe me, you have to be a very brave person to want to debate with him when it comes to things of sports. Yes, Emeka, I know I'm trying to intimidate you, but if it works, fine. If it doesn't, well, whatever. So I want to introduce officially to the Afia Sports Banter Box on his debut, the general manager of Afia, Mr. Nnamdi Obaya. Good to have you.
I hope after this introduction, because it was just reminding me of the introduction of Triple G. When you arrived, I was trying to imagine being his enemy. And no, in my defense, I never called Emeka a failed footballer. I called him a failed academy footballer. It's
Even worse.
a totally different thing in my defense.
Okay, you're welcome. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Right. So we're going to go straight to the issues that we'll discuss. There, as usual, in a typical Afia Sports Banter Box session, we have two segments. And the first segment usually deals with what's happening in the home front. But we're going to deviate a little bit from the mean today because so much drama and action is happening outside of the home front that we just cannot afford to sweep under the carpet. I'm referring to the English football pyramid. And in the English football pyramid, there are promotions that are going on. We know about the championship. It has been sealed, done and dusted. The Premier League is about to be sealed, done and dusted. But there is one other thing that's going to happen very soon. We'll talk about that in a bit concerning the championship. But first, we're talking about the Premier League. In the English Premier League, there was a controversial statement that was made by the Professional Game Match Officials Board Limited, that is Pgmol, and that has to do with a strategic plan that they have in place concerning the Premier League, concerning the frequency of Premier League titles given to teams. Now, according to what they said, we're going to give you some clips so you can listen, you can watch, read, and then listen to what the Pgmol said about that. What the Pgmol said about that. I believe, first of all, we're going to take the video clip on what a representative of the Pgmol said concerning the strategic plan, very briefly. So, MCR, let's have that so people can digest it before we look at the write-up and get into the first segment of the Afia Sports Banter Box.
Without being disrespectful to any club, we have a strategic plan at the Premier League, and the strategic plan says put a new name on the trophy in every 6-year period. And that is nothing to, that doesn't mean to say we don't want any team to win it. It just means we would rather see some sort of rotations.
You heard the representative of the Pgmol. He talked about a strategic plan that the Pgmol, which is under, of course, the auspices of the Football Association of England, to ensure that a new team wins the Premier League title every 6 years. So a new name will be written on the Premier League title every 6 years. That's the allegation that is made. That is what they claimed. Now, the question people are asking, because there's going to be a write-up that you're going to see right now, an official statement coming from them that will buttress what we're trying to discuss today. Now, some people have found all sorts of things to say about Arsenal Football Club because Arsenal are powering on and, they seem to be on the verge of winning their first Premier League title in 22 years. And the statement is written there. Now, I'll read the Pgmol statement as is written on the screen. You can see it there. The Pgmol acknowledged a significant human error. Okay, no, now this is not the, please, pardon me, that's not what we want to show you, but we'll bring it up in a bit. First of all, let's get straight to the issue. Now, there's an allegation that in the wake of this controversial statement made by the Pgmol, people feel that Arsenal Football Club have been getting the fair side of officiating decisions this season. For context, Arsenal Football Club are in the Fair Play Award in the Premier League. They are on top, having picked 49 yellow cards, which is less than most teams on that Fair Play list, and not a single second yellow and not a single red card. The only other team that has not picked a red card all season has to be Manchester City. They are title rivals, the runners-up as it stands, if it ends the way they want it to end. So there is an allegation that the Pgmol want to ensure that Arsenal wins the league so they can be that name that maintains that 6-year strategic plan. And as a result, most decisions have been going in the favor of the Gunners. That is the allegation. So the question we want to ask today is very, very clear. First of all, in the wake of this controversial remark or statement made by the Pgmol, is it fair to say that Arsenal have received, a slap on the wrist when it comes to decisions? Does it mean that Arsenal have been given a free ride on the way to the title? So that's the issue that we want to discuss today. I'm going to open the floor with Mr. Nnamdi Obaya. Nnamdi, this is a very tricky situation, very controversial one. And I'd like to get your thoughts and know the side you stand on, what you represent regarding this statement that Pgmol have made. And then, of course, the popular consensus amongst many that Arsenal are getting fair treatment.
It's two different, it's supposed to be two different scenarios. One is statement by the FA and one is series of on-field issues. But the fact that one seems to corroborate the other and one seems to validate the other is where the problem starts. And it's not like it's something we noticed along the line. They won Old Trafford, Arsenal, Manchester United. United's keeper then, who was the second choice keeper.
Bayern.
But yeah, he was the one imposed that day, was held, literally held by the hands. VAR review was done. The goal was given. Then we saw 2 fouls in the match against Chelsea happen. Nothing was acknowledged. Arsenal was given a goal that shouldn't have stood. So we've seen that over and over and over again. Then against West Ham, what most people are not realizing is that why that was particularly infuriating for West Ham is it wasn't just a case of an Arsenal title defense. It's West Ham's survival as well that was put in jeopardy with that decision. And this is where people are annoyed. Some people say it's a foul, fine, it's a foul. If you're saying it's a foul, prior to that man getting to the keeper, he was literally dragged by Trossard, who was backing the ball, never laid eyes on the ball, dragged him all the way in. You had another foul by Declan Rice happening. You had another foul by Gabriel. Like, literally, there were 3 other fouls. And VAR, if you read the VAR transcript of the chat that was had between officials, VAR actually pointed them out to the referee. And the referee's words were, I see nothing in them. Is the one on the keeper a foul or not? I'm paraphrasing that, was there's nothing there. Trossard is facing the ball. And you look at that video, at no point, not that at the beginning he was facing, then he turned. No. At no point did Trossard even look like wherever the ball was coming from, Trossard's name and number were visible to that person throughout. He was backing. So there were 3 penalty calls for West Ham before what they called a foul on Raya, which only happened because the player was literally dragged by Trossard into Raya. So, one, on that scenario, that was never supposed to be cancelled. And if you're going to cancel it, you're going to give a penalty. None of that happened. But here's where people are getting angry and why I mentioned the history. Arsenal have scored the most goals from set pieces this season. And 95% of them have looked as bad, if not worse, than what we saw cancelled for West Ham. So the question is, where is the consistency? We were being told keepers were not strong enough. We were being told that it was robust. We were being told it's a contact sport. We were being told all sorts of things. But the first time they concede a goal in the same manner, they've scored so many goals. Arteta starts whining. The referee makes a VAR decision. Arteta is literally dictating, showing him exactly what to look for. And then the VAR, when I saw the clips, I was angry that, like, VAR should show him everything. And when I read the chat, VAR actually did, and the referee was not interested in listening. It's almost like after giving the goal and he was called to VAR, suddenly he had to, be reminded that, look, this is an opportunity to give Arsenal the win. This is just conspiracy, of course. But the problem is that it happens too often. Every team has whined about being fouled by Arsenal, and none of them have had any reprieve. Then the first time Arsenal complains, and I'm saying it's not the same thing. He had his hand across Raya. People jump and have their hands across each other all the time. We've had keepers held. We've had people held. In that same situation, I mentioned Gabriel's foul. Do you know what Gabriel was doing? He was pulling Soucek to prevent him from jumping. He was literally down, holding his jersey down so that he couldn't jump. Like, there were 3 distinct fouls that anybody could have observed. But the sad part is, the English FA, and by that statement we heard, are trying to socially engineer football. They're trying to create false equality and false balance and trying to prevent dominance. If Liverpool and Man City are going to be dominant for this whole era, please, by all means, let them be dominant. When only Arsenal and United were dominating, Premiership was still very interesting. When Chelsea came on, Premiership was still very interesting. English football was interesting during the Liverpool years of dominance. We don't need the FA to start behaving like a kindergarten teacher and, trying to enforce false equality. Because what you do is you cheat people. Because now, if this is true, West Ham, who should be getting themselves saved from relegation, are being thrown deeper because of another agenda. There's nothing like a victimless crime. And this is what is worrying, everybody. If they are going to win, let them win on merit. Don't step in. Are you worried it will become like La Liga or like Bundesliga? In English football, you're already doing something that most of these countries are not doing. You have equitable distribution of television rights. Yeah. You have access to sponsorship for kids and everything for all teams. There are stadiums that are smaller than other. There are teams that are smaller than other teams with bigger stadiums than them. Sunderland has a bigger stadium. The Stadium of Light is bigger than most of their so-called seniors. It's bigger than Villa Park. It's bigger than Stamford Bridge. It's bigger than Craven Cottage. So there are many, smaller teams that have bigger stadiums. So there is no need to artificially do anything. We saw teams come up and we've seen Leeds and Sunderland hold their own. We've seen Brentford every season lose their top striker from Watkins to Tony to Buemo, and they always find the next banger and bring him on. And we've seen Thiago again. So these are the things that make it interesting. Not when you artificially, and I had complained years ago, I started seeing it in the FA Cup first, that whenever Premier League teams were taking on smaller teams, it's almost like the referee was going to allow the small teams to get away with murder. And the Premier League teams are not going to be. And I said so long ago. So this statement doesn't surprise me. The false engineering of situations doesn't surprise me. And of course, people are going to say, we don't care. It's our time. It's always fun till the shoe is on the other foot.
So that very salient points raised by Nnamdi here, and the bar has been raised very high for you, Emeka. You really, I would not like to be in your shoes right now regarding this issue. Can you defend what may be seemingly indefensible? Over to you. What do you have to say about this?
Well, even in the law courts, you have to defend the criminal. So I'll have to try my best. Let's get down to what I have to say. Yes, so many illegalities have been committed in the Premier League. That I have to confess, that I must say. But the thing about it is football is a consistent game of 90 minutes. Yes, many people have validations for why they say West Ham was robbed, this and that. But it was a game of 90 minutes. If West Ham had scored goals, they would have gotten themselves out of this situation. But notwithstanding that fact, when we look at some of the VAR calls, the problem we are facing in England, most especially, is that the referees are giving the ultimate call. The VAR is there to guide the referee. It's there to help get the decisions that the referee wasn't able to get firsthand. And when the referee decides to turn to the VAR and still makes a decision to go against what the VAR is showing him, no one questions the referee. So why are we now so okay? Oh yes, the PGMO putting up places to checkmate these refereeing decisions. Because every week and cranny, we hear results. Oh, we are sorry we made a mistake. Are we going to keep hearing we made a mistake and allow teams keep going? Good and fine. It's benefiting us now. Yeah, we have to just say the truth. Yes, it's benefiting them. And when you play well and mix it with little things by the side, you get away with a lot of things. Kudos to Arsenal for being smart enough to get away with some of these irregularities, as people call it right now. But the standpoint here is, when you look at the decisions, it's not just an Arsenal thing. Now, when you look at other games, you look at the teams like Manchester United, you look like the teams of Spurs, Chelsea, Man City. So many irregularities go against them, but there's nothing to checkmate what's going on here. The Crystal Palace game, for example, yesterday, there was a penalty shout in the box when Convert touched the ball with his hand. Referee, first on the scene, saw it, waved it off. I mean, it's not something we're new to seeing. It's something we've seen for the past 2 or 3 seasons. It seems like there's a script that is being given every season, and every referee and every VAR is meant to just follow that script. No one checkmates the decisions. If the referee consults the VAR, even if the VAR speak the truth, it's still down to the referee to either accept the truth or go with whatever truth he believes is true. So the thing is, there's no bodies to really checkmate what the referees are saying. So if we keep continuing like that, why won't we have a script of maybe an agenda of maybe, they are trying to push Arsenal for the league? It's going to actually happen because nobody checkmates the decisions of the referee. If the referee is saying the final say and nobody has what to do, if you get it wrong, all we hear is that, this person is suspended for this game, they're back the next 2 or 3 games. Then they keep making the same mistakes.
Yes, I want to get a rebuttal from you.
There was something that happened recently, which was Manchester United versus Sunderland. During the match, Bruno Fernandes got punched in the face. Punched! And when the head of referees was asked, why not happen? He said, it's me. Now, come on, it's me. Like, why are we still bothered about that? The season is over. Why do you want something? The same refereeing people that gave Lisandro Martinez a red card for realizing he was touching somebody's head and pulling his hand away. But not a single person has been red carded, right? And you can fact check this. When it comes to hair pulling, the most foul player in the Premiership is Cucurella. Not a single person has been red carded. I seen him dragged to the ground while running with some. Not a single person has been red carded. And I dare say that barely anybody has been yellow carded. And they say, no, it's physical. Yes, you can yellow card. It's like a foul. So why is it that Alessandro touched somebody and, red card? Then I'll come back to United and Bournemouth. And I'll tell you I'm going with this. There was an incident where Ahmad was fouled. And they said, play on. And Bournemouth go round down the other end and score. Immediately. And there's a ruckus like, why, no. Then, the same way Ahmad was fouled, Maguire does almost the same thing. The only difference is that Maguire did not kick the leg like that other guy kicked Ahmad's leg. But Maguire got a red card and there was a penalty. And the Premier League management, they defended and said, no, they must be suspended. So you had Maguire and Lisandro out for matches in the running suspension. Most people don't realize something. From my side, do you know that it was only at game 34, 35 that United was mathematically out of the title race? True. Do you know that? It was at game 34, 35 they were mathematically out. Meaning that up until that time, results could still have, continued to favor. So it's almost like a process of elimination. Okay, Liverpool and Chelsea are eliminating themselves on their own. We need to, Villa are still losing form. Oh, United is on form. How about we bring ourselves into the picture? And this inconsistency is not something conspiracy theorists are saying, because UEFA and FIFA have their referee rankings. And guess what? If you think about it, since Howard Webb in the Champions League final some years ago, name another English referee since Graham Poll in 2006 World Cup that has been called for a major tournament. There's a reason. They watch these matches. Nobody wants actors on the big stage. They want actual referees. And what was Graham Poll's biggest contributions to the 2006 World Cup? Do you remember? He gave somebody 3 yellow cards. Before giving a red. That was his own contribution. He gave 3 yellow cards before giving a red. So you have to understand that English referees are not really rated by their own peers. And I don't think it worries them because, unfortunately, they are better paid than the other referees. The thing about the English league is that everything is monetized and compensation is so good across board that people don't really care. Yeah, I'll do it. The money is good enough. As a referee, as a pundit, as anything, you're getting paid much better than your peers in any other place. So it's getting to the point where I think the referees more and more see themselves as part of a franchise, doing their role rather than being umpires, which is they are literally supposed to be the definition of when they call somebody an umpire. They are literally supposed to be the definition of a referee, an uninterested, uninvolved arbiter. Even the organizer is not your friend. Nobody is your friend. Your own is to come in there. This is similar to judges giving decisions to favor a government agenda, regardless of who it affects. And the FA will, they might come out and smirk and turn their noses at people. But what will happen is eventually people will get tired. Don't forget, at the time the Syria was hot. Match fixing, bribery. The
police scandal of 2006.
Yes. And whether I like it or not, La Liga, we hear, the Florentino Perez complaint about Barcelona bribing referees. Those charges are not going anywhere yet. And then you now see that in La Liga now, TV rights are dropping. Apart from El Clasico, who's really watching,
La Liga.
Anything else. And the last thing I'll say is these conspiracies get their leg from the fact that the English FA has shown itself to be suspect on many levels. Everton were docked points and almost lost their Premiership status. Chelsea were hit immediately. But we see that Man City, despite having record number of charges,
130 as at the last time,
they've been weaving, and maybe till we forget about it, but they've been weaving, and there were even some that they changed to financial penalties. Things that were meant to be deductions and relegations, they were saying, maybe they should change. They should have a new FA rule and change it to a financial penalty. So it's obvious that, a lot of the FA's credibility is for sale and can be purchased. So anything that is questionable is easy to believe.
Amazing. Well, all speculation is valueless at the end of the day, but still, like I always say, if it looks like a pig, smells like a pig, oinks like a pig, probably is. Yeah, it is. All the same, I think we're just going to have to call it quits on this particular topic, and we'll go on a very short break. After this timeout, we're going to come back, and still in the football pyramid in England, there is something that also has a lot of shady angles to it, which we're going to discuss shortly. You want to know what that is? Don't touch that dial. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. The frequencies are still channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 GoTV, and channel 748 Free TV. It's been a wonderful first session here with Emeka Madoka, the priest of, self-acclaimed priest of football. And then, of course, Nnamdi Obanya is here, the GM himself, making his maiden appearance on the Afia Sports Banter Box and really giving a lot to think about. Now we're going to go straight to the second topic. This is still the football pyramid in England, but this time is the second tier. The championship has been done and dusted. We already know that Coventry City have been crowned champions of the EFL Championship. And then the runners-up are Ipswich. We know that Ipswich and Coventry will be going to the Premier League this season. But one thing we do not know is who will join them as a result of the playoffs. Now, for those who are not aware of how this promotion happens, how it's calibrated, the first and second teams win automatic promotion to the higher level. That is the Premier League in this instance. But the teams from third to sixth have a playoff, two-legged playoff that determines who eventually ends up winning. So there are playoff semifinals and then playoff final, one playoff final. This year's playoff final will be on the 23rd of May, which is next week Saturday. And the semifinals, the first semifinals have been dealt with. Hull City beat what's that they beat again? Hull City knocked out their opponents out, Millwall. Yes, Hull City knocked out Millwall home and away, and they got themselves a berth in the final. So they are waiting in the final on the 23rd to face Southampton for now. But there was a problem. Southampton, who beat who beat Middlesbrough 2-1 on aggregate, having drawn goalless at the Riverside Stadium. They then beat them 2-1 after extra time at St. Mary's. But there is a problem. Before that semi-final game, a certain individual was caught spying on those Middlesbrough during their training session. And this was a training session, the final and most critical training session before the second leg of the semi-finals. Now, that came to the light, and as a result, the Middlesbrough fans, Middlesbrough hierarchy, the Middlesbrough coach, everybody is aggrieved because it's going to disrupt, it's cheating in their own eyes, and the English FA is looking into the matter to determine what will happen. Now, there are many repercussions involved in this. Remember, travel plans are going to be affected if, for instance, the Southampton players are planning to, fans are planning to travel to Wembley to watch their team play. But if their team gets docked points, what's going to happen? How is it going to affect everybody? Where does fairness and equity come into this place? What kind of penalties are necessary? Would there be financial inducements? Would there be expulsion from the playoffs proper for Southampton? We don't know what exactly is going to happen because a verdict is yet to be reached. But we have the football pundits here who can give more perspective and give their own thoughts, professional, objective thoughts regarding what is likely to happen. So in the wake of this Spygate, the spy incident, it's the scandal that involves Southampton and Middlesbrough, what exactly do you think should happen? Should Southampton, if found guilty, be expelled from the playoffs? This time I'm going to start with you, Emeka. What's your take regarding Southampton? The fan, the person that spied on them,
Yes.
was a clear Southampton fan. It is established.
Yes.
Whether he acted independently or not is not known. It's not yet verified. But having said this might seem to tarnish their reputation and might seem to undermine their victory. What exactly does this mean? Should Southampton be expelled from the finals? I remember it's just 9 days from now. The finals of the playoffs will be on the 23rd of May. With this development, should Southampton Football Club, the Saints, be expelled and that berth be given to Middlesbrough?
Well, there are two things you have to consider in this situation. You said it was a fan that went into spying on the training section of Middlesbrough. Now, two things come into play in this factor. One, did he act independently, like we mentioned, or was he an insider for the Southampton side? Did the hierarchy, did the coach, did the training staff all plan with this span to go and spy on the Middlesbrough training facility? If that is the case, then yes, Southampton should be automatically debunked from the final, and an automatic promotion to the final should be given to Middlesbrough under the laws of fairness and equity. But if this was something that the fan had gone in there by himself to go on his own volition to spy on the training section without the awareness of the Southampton hierarchy, then I think that would be too far-fetched to want to remove them from the final, having no involvement. Just getting lucky, I guess, to have maybe known the tactics. Now, the thing here we consider is when Southampton got these training sections, the playing patterns and styles, the tactics, did they use it to better their game? Did they ignore what the fans said? Or did they go ahead and, okay, we've gotten a green card to know what our opponents are going to play? If that is the case, then that could be seen as siding with this fan to get the tactics. Because you, on one hand, could not have sent him, but he came and gave you, and you openly did not reject it. You used it to your favor, which then, yes, the FA has the right to debunk them. So that's basically what I have to say. It's down to the motives behind the fan. Was he working in collaboration with the hierarchy, or did he do it solo?
You talk about the motives. Okay, a very important point you raised, and we'll have to get some balance to it because, there's a popular saying that goes this way that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I don't know about the issue of motives. But one thing I'm sure Nnamdi is going to give a lot of his own perspective regarding this matter. Though what some people don't understand is that normally we hear this gate, that gate, spy gate, this gate, that gate. It originated from Watergate. The Watergate scandal of 1972, when the Watergate Hotel, which was the DNC, Democratic National Convention headquarters, was bugged.
Allegedly.
Allegedly bugged, yes, by Republican spies, Republican burglars. Now they caught them, and then it was established that they were hired by two senior members of staff of Richard Nixon, that is Haldeman and Ehrlichman. But they were still trying to tie them up whether the order came from Nixon. And as a result of the scandal that ensued from there, Nixon became, till date, the only president of the United States to resign in office in 1974. But no, we don't want to connect the dots. And I think that's where you come in now. Now, what's your take regarding this? Should they be expelled? That is Southampton. If so, why?
Emeka raised a good question, a good point, which was whether or not the person's spine was working for Southampton. After the match, the Middlesbrough, team, their own comments were, "We're still preparing for Wembley. We believe we have been wronged. We believe the FA will take action." Southampton refused to comment. The coach refused to comment. Nobody is talking. For me, there's always a clear sign when nobody is talking that there's internal messaging, because if you know nothing about it, very quickly, this is rubbish. He's a fan. What do you have to do with it? And it's not the first time we've had Spygate. The first time was Marcelo Bielsa, Leeds United, if you remember.
Yes, 2019.
Same situation, playoffs. Went to spy.
Derby County.
Yeah, spy on opposition. But his own point, and he didn't even say, "Yeah, I'm the one that sent the person, it was me." But why did they go and train in a place where everybody can see them? That the person who was watching from me was standing on public land. Outside, was not in stadium. It was public land, and they were training where they could see, in a public facility where anybody's allowed. In this case, the person who went to spy on Middlesbrough went onto private property, into a private facility. So once any link between that person and Southampton Football Club is established, automatically there's a legal case. And I'm not even talking of a promotion or anything, no. Trespassing. And if it is trespassing endorsed by Southampton, it becomes conspiracy. The charges just keep piling up, and the civil suit keeps getting bigger, and they can sue them for everything they'll earn if they enter the Premiership for the next 3 years. So there are so many angles to it. What Southampton will be trying to do now is distance themselves from the person that went. We don't know him. He's a fan. He's doing his thing. We're not sure. And what Middlesbrough wants to do is, right now they are combing through every evidence. They've called every lawyer to check every CCTV to find that guy talking to anybody associated with the hierarchy of Southampton. And once they get one person, they are going to start building their conspiracy network from there, of how the person was brought on board, how he was paid, because their grievance is somebody came to spy on them. It's not allowed. Somebody trespassed into their stadium. It's not allowed. And they can even claim that there's conspiracy for the person to do harm, because why is opposition in your stadium, in your private facility, sneaking? Why is he trespassing on private Middlesbrough property before a match between Southampton and Middlesbrough? Is he trying to harm the players? Is he trying to put poison in their food? There are so many things that a good lawyer can do to spread this thing even wider. So what Southampton's only job is try and distance yourself from this guy. Middlesbrough's only job is find one person, that we can link to this guy. One picture, one video, one Instagram post, one like on TikTok, one thing. That's all, one. And, we can start building from there. For the FA, I think the FA is waiting to see what the social capital is on it. Which side do we take that makes us look good? It's never what is right, what is wrong. No. Where can we look good and where can we not lose money? What are the sponsors saying? What are the TV rights saying? Who is better for TV? Who is better for sponsorship? Who brings in more revenue? So if we don't really need to prove, because either way we can explain our way ourselves. Either way we go. So which one makes us look better? So they're sitting back first so they don't go and put their foot in their mouth by quickly taking one side and finding out that they've goofed and made a horribly wrong decision. Like maybe you say, "Oh, Middlesbrough, forget about it. This guy," and then you find out that guy, the evidence comes out, he was paid, he was hired, he was engaged, you goofed. Or you say, "Oh, Middlesbrough, you're going through Southampton," then you find out that guy knows nothing. That guy even has mental cases. He's not even really a Southampton fan. He's a fan of a different club, depending on which day of the week he is. He's a guy that is mad. So they have to first watch and make sure that they are not, going to put themselves in trouble. Then they will pick the side that pays them, and that's exactly what I think will happen.
Well, okay. I want to throw this open right now because just like you pointed out, Emeka raised it, and then you threw more light on the fact that there are many ramified implications to this. I'm looking from the standpoint of, should I say, the butterfly effect. the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
One little faux pas could trigger off a massive chain reaction that will create a mess
Yeah.
that will taint the image of the English FA, taint the image of Southampton, probably even taint the image of Middlesbrough. And we know how these things happen. Now, I'm looking at the time constraints. We have 9 days to the playoff finals.
Yeah.
And this kind of information with the players and the fans, because I'm particularly concerned about the fans who have to make travel plans and arrangements. They're all in limbo right now. They don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty regarding what the FA will do, what they will decide. But my problem is the lack of time. This could be messing with the heads of the players. Of course, the biggest winners in this whole situation at the moment are Hull City. They're just there. They know that
They are relaxed.
They are relaxed. They say whatever happens, the psychological power play that's going on right now will not affect us. We'll just beat what's in front of us. That's what they plan to do. But how does... Yeah.
Although they don't know who they are preparing for.
Exactly.
That's very, very critical. They don't,
Yeah.
because Southampton and Middlesbrough have 2 different styles and
Yeah.
approaches, 2 different managers with different philosophies and applications on the pitch. But at the end of the day, how messy does this look, and how do you think the fans, put yourself in the shoes of an average fan, a season ticket holder for say Southampton right now, and then Middlesbrough from both sides, how would they feel? What would be messing with their heads? Because this is the biggest game of their lives at the moment. And we know how much of a cash cow the championship playoffs finals can be.
Exactly.
I think it's one of the most expensive, prize money spinners in world football. So what do you think will be going through the minds of the fans, and how do they adjust ahead of the final?
There is 2 types of prayers. Southampton is praying that nothing is linked to them, and that guy. Some people are probably even thinking of maybe even hiring a hitman to remove the evidence. For Middlesbrough, it's almost a sad withdrawn. Having to hope on the FA. It's not something anybody wants, because
Exactly.
it's not going to be about what you have in front of you. It's going to be about what they think is best for them at that moment.
Their best interest.
So, for Middlesbrough, it's a faint glimmer of hope. For Southampton, it's just, they are praying for this thing to go away, for the time to come, because once it's 2-3 days to the game, the decision will be rushed, and, it's too late to do anything. Middlesbrough are sorry, but we can't prove it beyond reasonable doubt. And that's what Southampton will be hanging on, that unless it's beyond reasonable doubt, they are good. So Southampton have 1 leg already in Wembley, It's really Southampton's position to be snatched by Middlesbrough right now, because the burden of proof is on the accuser, and Middlesbrough have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that guy was engaged by Southampton, spied, trespass, and it's not really about whether or not they spied on the game. The fact that you went and committed an illegal act of getting a saboteur into the camp that's the charge. It's not about whether he videoed or whether they used it. That doesn't matter. Once we can link a guy who trespassed into our facility to you, that's all. That's all we need.
Exactly.
But it has to be beyond reasonable doubt. So it's Southampton not to lose. The fans are praying for the time to move fast. Middlesbrough are praying for the days to be longer, so that more time can be given to unearth evidence.
Okay, just to build on what he just said. We see, first of all, do you foresee technicalities in this matter? And just one more thing. Assuming, for instance, what you raised, we now see evidence beyond reasonable doubt that there was a conspiracy. There was the Southampton fan himself who was liaising with the upper, those in the upper echelons of power, the hierarchy, the high flyers in Southampton. Now, can't you explain this away as AI? This when AI has become the usual suspect. AI has become the fall guy in this whole matter.
Yeah.
What kind of technicalities can we foresee and anticipate in this Spygate?
Well, I mean, for one, when it comes to the FA themselves, like Mr. Namdi has pointed out, it's best suited to what suits their TV rights. But now the question is, when we expect a technicality like that to arise, why don't we see the body like us intervene into this matter and maybe take the decision of themselves? Because you want to leave it to the FA. It's not the first time the FA has gotten things wrong, allegedly. It's not the first time the FA has chosen the big money rights decision over the equity decision. That's the rights decision. Why can't we see CAS just like they came in the case of the CAF? Why can't they come into this matter? Many people might say it's a small decision for CAS to take on, but it's their job. When there's an aggrieved, it's their job to actually throw more light, do the proper investigations, and give the fair conclusion. Why do we always have to do it to the FA that have sort of a shortcomings when it comes to making proper decisions? Why are we leaving it in their hands? Why are we not seeing CAS coming involved here and taking advantage or find out that there is actually a link between this supposed spy and Southampton? Because, like you said, many people might just debunk it to be AI. But if proper investigations are carried out, you could see that, okay, yes, beyond no reasonable doubt, this person does have a tie to the club.
So let me do something there. And this is about CAS in their own. So the problem with CAS that CAS is the Court of Arbitration for Sports. It's like an appeal to the highest body of sports. And FIFA have this thing where everybody's autonomous. For CAS to come in, the FA would have had to have disappointed the party that is petitioning. Then UEFA would have had to disappoint the party that is petitioning. Then FIFA would have had to disappoint the party that is petitioning before you now take your case to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Because for you to go to CAS, and then it's not like you can fast track straight to CAS, directly, because bodies are supposed to be semi-autonomous. So from the English FA, you can go straight to CAS. The issue will be that, this thing of, so you took us to CAS, Abi, within England again. So you want to make sure when you're going to CAS that you are very, very sure of what you are going with. You have to be very, very sure because, I've been involved in one or two applications to CAS, and, I know the issues of the non-refundable money. This was about, player transfer issues. So I to an extent, I can tell you that dealing with CAS, you're coming correct because when they attend to you is once, they don't have time. It's not, and CAS is very thorough. You have to come and be ready and be thorough. So I think before CAS will come in, Middlesbrough have to feel aggrieved enough by the English FA that they are willing to risk their reputation and relationship with the rest of the FA to drag the FA to the Court of Arbitration for Sports.
And clearly, let's just tell ourselves the truth. All this can happen within 9 days.
No, it can't. There's a waiting period. It can't.
So I think that there you have it. It is a very, very dicey situation. We'll give more thoughts on this. Just after this short break, we're going to gather up our thoughts and then we'll call it a day. Stay tuned. It's still the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. Back to the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. And of course, I'm your man, Sisi the Rabbi, and I'm here with the self-acclaimed piece of football, Emeka Madoke, and it's Nnamdi Obaya. And I want to just know, because of time, there is one matter that we didn't really look at very quickly. I want to get final thoughts regarding the two topics here. We were talking about the strategic plan of the English FA, the Pgmol particularly, regarding a new team every 6 years, having a new name on the title, and many decisions have been playing in the favor of Arsenal. But the last time we checked, the Pgmol is domiciled within England, so the jurisdiction is England, the English FA, that's the area. But Arsenal have been having a very brilliant, almost impeccable run in the UEFA Champions League. They are yet to pick a yellow card. They are yet to concede a penalty in the UEFA Champions League this season. So how is that explained away?
It's not explained away. Nobody says Arsenal is not a good team. You see, if you're going to even put your thumb on the scale, the team, first of all, has to be able to carry themselves to a point where you can't say you're going to engineer Tottenham to win the league. It's not.
My goodness,
it's not possible. They are too far away from the top. And it's multiple decisions for somebody, decisions against the opposition. Of course, this is all conspiracy and alleged. But there's also the fact that in the Champions League, Arsenal have played the mighty Atletico Madrid in the semi-final, the mighty Sporting Lisbon in the quarter-final. So in the knockout stages, they've avoided they've basically avoided the pillar, the group, the line of fire. The other side of it literally had every killer and every killer's uncle on the other side, of the draw, which was all due to their start. All of them, start of the season poor form that led many of them to fall into the parts of the table where they were now in the lower bracket with PSG. They weren't evenly spread across because at the beginning, too many of them did not start well. So and then Arsenal found themselves with early surprise teams like Bodo Glimt and Lisbon and co, who of course like you see your Villas and Sunderlands and Brentfords will eventually find their level. So it's not Arsenal. It does not negate Arsenal as a good team. It does not negate the project as a good project. It's just a case of there's a balance here. Which way will it go? Instead of waiting for it to balance itself, let me put my thumb on. Let me put my thumb on the scale and give a little advantage to one side. That is the charge against the FA. Because look, a tournament is how many games? Tottenham just won the Europa.
Yeah.
Villa is in the final.
Exactly.
Villa is in the final.
Crystal Palace is also in the Conference League final, even though that's a Conference League final.
I'm just saying. But
so you could see a sort of script building up across Europe.
What I'm saying is that anybody who can put 10 games together will win a continental trophy. Just put 10 games together. Not 10 wins, 10 games. A draw and a win will get you over a two-legged tie. A draw and composure in a penalty shootout. We'll get so. A tournament is just to win a certain amount of games. In the league, every weekend, you have to face a different proposition, and there are more permutations. Tournament is knockout. You win or you go home. League is, if I use this man today and he gets a yellow card, my next match is there are too many permutations. You have to plan for 38 games. It's totally different planning for a tournament.
Okay, I think well said. I think we're just going to have to take it at that and call it a day because we're out of time. Our producers are really harassing us at the moment, and we want to say a big thank you, Nnamdi Obanya, the general manager himself, who is a sports enthusiast and a sports guru in his own right. I appreciate you for making your debut on the Afia Sports Banter Box for the first time of many, hopefully. And then, of course, the man that I love to tease every now and then. No love, of course, there's a lot of love here, but still, we still know that you're the self-acclaimed priest of football. Emeka Madueke, thank you very much for being with us.
Oh, one day you'll see the truth. Well,
until that day. I want to thank everybody who's been involved in the success of this Afia Sports Banter Box show. The cinematographer herself, goodness, thank you very much for what you do and what you're doing right now, too. And then also I want to thank those in the PCR. Thank you very much, Victor, for being who you are and what you do. And then in the MCR, I think that's Chamaka. Chamaka is there. You are the bomb, indeed. You're the best. Thank you very much. We're going to do this again tomorrow by 5 p.m. This time, that's the Afia Sports Preview Square on Afia TV. Make sure you keep it locked then. Till then, remain blessed. I'm Sisi the Rabbi, and I'm signing out.